Real pride comes from what you do with your life, how you treat people, what you create, what you stand for. If the only thing that you're proud of is being born white and English, then congratulations. You've achieved absolutely nothing. And
if you knew what you were made of, then we would save the world.
What's going on, people? You know, would you believe I actually reacted to this video, or at least I tried to a few days ago. This is during my little hiatus where you probably saw that I didn't put out any videos for a long time. I was having a bit of a problem with my streaming software. Nothing was working, everything was being a bit glitchy. I think it just needed to be shut down and restarted again, but anyway, seems to be working a bit better now. Long story short, anyway, it's working better now. I came across this guy's video. His name is Benedict Garrett, and from what I can see, he's got a very sound mind. I actually like the way he thinks, but he's got this really good video, and one of the reasons why this video really stood out to me might not be the reason that he posted it. He touches on something that I speak about quite a lot, and that is the difference between black pride, black power, black excellence, all of those kind of like phrases that are used in the black community to elicit a sense of community and pride in ourselves, and the white equivalent, and why ultimately there is no white equivalent. There can't be a white equivalent, and white people see this as an attack on them. In fact, they deliberately like to attack black people when it comes to them wanting to say these things, even though we're not the ones who give them pushback, but it's their own history that gives them pushback. But he highlights on something that makes it even more real. So one of the things that I always talk about is the fact that the reason why you can't say white power is because black power was about building communities within black communities or amongst black people. Okay, it was about empowering us against a system that wasn't including us, a system that was trying to disempower us. So as a result, we created black power to say we together can have our own power. We together won't be ruled and overcome. Now, white power, because white people already have the power and already have the system, already have the infrastructure, already have the resources, already have the military, already have the strategic positioning, already have the leaders in place, already have the narrative, already have the rewritten history. Because white people have all of that, when people are saying white power to a group that already has power, they are not actually concerned with white power, because white power is the default. What they're concerned with is the smaller groups' disempowerment. So when they talk about white power, they're talking about furthering their own power, which ultimately means taking away from the little that other people have. And this is why white power always, I'm not going to say sometimes, I'm not going to say often, I'm going to say white power always is a cover-up for the desire to be violent towards minority communities. That's what it is. When people get together and they're like, white power, all they want to talk about is fighting. All they want to talk about is violence. All they want to talk about is getting rid or kicking people out. That's what white power is. And this is why white pride, white power, white anything can't live alongside other communities, because whiteness has already been codified into law as the default proprietor of all of those people's things already. That's why whiteness exists. It's not a real thing. So white power doesn't need to exist, but black power does need to exist. Black pride does need to exist, because it exists as a resistance to a system of white supremacy that is actively against the black community. Now, that is one perspective. He touches on another. So let's get into it.
racist dipshits in England, they love shouting about how proud they are to be white. White pride, they go on about white genocide. Their profile are usually dripping in St. George's flags and Union Jacks, like they personally stitched the empire together. But let's be honest, patriotism, nationalism, and pride in ethnicity really are the emptiest forms of pride imaginable.
So this is where he's touched on something key here. He said nationalism, pride and flag, these are the emptiest forms of pride imaginable, because essentially you haven't done anything to achieve your whiteness. Okay? Whiteness is not something that you've earned. And I think this is one of the key differences between white pride and black pride. So let me dig in underneath the surface here. Black pride and black power are actually things you have to earn. Okay, you earn them. Okay, you're born black, yes, but black pride is something you have to make a choice to do. Okay, because it's everything in this world is telling you not to be proud to be black. Everything is geared up towards black disempowerment. Everything is geared up towards black disenfranchisement. Everything is geared up towards black people being at the bottom of the economic ladder. So when you make a choice and you stand up for your blackness and you decide to stand on business and you take pride in your blackness, that is something that you've actually worked for. That's something that you actually earn. It's not something that all black people automatically or by default do. Okay, you've had to earn that position, and there's been resistance against it. So there is something admirable about a group of people who take pride in their blackness. They have all had to overcome a struggle. You know, you are amongst a group of fighters, a group of thinkers, a group of readers, a group of contributors. Those are the kinds of people who will formulate something that looks like black power and black excellence. On the other hand, people who form white pride and white power groups, they haven't fought anything. They haven't fought for anything. In fact, taken pride in their whiteness, like he said, is literally the lowest form of anything. It's kind of like me taking pride in being a man. Oh, I'm proud. And I know that red pill people straight away gonna jump on this, but you can't take pride in being a man. I can't be proud of the fact that I was just born with a schlong, and that me being born with a schlong has placed me as someone who is at a physical superiority to everyone or most people who essentially weren't born with that. Okay, I can't take pride in being a man. Okay, the physical advantages and the social advantages of being a man are written into everything. So I don't take any pride in being a man. I'm really like, man pride, walking around saying man pride. I'd be a flipping idiot, because all I'd be trying to do is to make women who already are in a disadvantageous position physically and socially for the most part, I'd just be making them feel less about themselves. So I prefer to use my manlyhood to make sure that I'm not contributing to anything that makes women feel like lesser beings in this patriarchal society. I acknowledge that in this patriarchal society, being a man has advantages that women simply can't access. So it's good for women to take pride in being women, but the reverse is not same for men. That's how power dynamics work.
Didn't do anything. You didn't earn it. You didn't build it. You didn't achieve it. It's not an accomplishment to fall out of someone's vagina within a particular border. It's not a skill to lack melanin. That's not pride. That's default settings. And when this is the thing,
That's not pride, it's default settings. And I think, like I said, going back, this is one of the reasons why we have this conflict, you know, when it comes to people. Yes, you could say, oh, this is the same for black people. Yeah, you didn't achieve anything. It's like, yes, but you achieve something every day when you have everything geared up against you, when you have a system that takes away from you, when you have a system that says you can't achieve X, Y, and Z, when you have everything fighting against you, and in spite of that, you manage to come out and build things and become successful, and actually people like you who face similar kinds of oppression and struggles, you build them up as well, and they also become something. Yeah, you take pride in that. Yeah, you'll be like black pride. Yeah, you'll be like black power. You're saying that in spite of our disadvantageous position, we feel really good about who we are. In fact, we wouldn't have it any other way. In fact, I think for a large part, a lot of white people feel jealous about not having that intrinsic struggle. There's an intrinsic storyline that we have as black people just being born black in this world. Being born white. It's people like, Louis C.K. has that joke of, I would take white every time, which is, he pulled off that line of that joke pretty well. But at the same time, that lack of struggle is one of the reasons why you get high rates of, self-unaliving and unhappiness. This is why Europe, European nations, I mean, I know they've tried to fudge the books recently and say, oh, Norwegians are the most happy bollocks. I remember growing up, it was always African nations. I remember specifically when Nigeria was called the most happy nation on the planet, and people couldn't figure it out. But historically, it's always been African nations. People are just happier.
That you cling to, it exposes something uncomfortable. There's nothing else there. No talent, no skill, no curiosity, no character, no achievements, no contribution worth mentioning. So you grab the one thing that no one can take away from you: your skin tone and your postcode.
By the way, see what he's just done there? That is Ben Shapiro and Nick Fuentes and Charlie Kirk in a nutshell. Individually, just no nothing, no contributions, no nothing. There's nothing that they can say, hey, look what I've done is so great. But the one thing they can do is, hey, look, I've got this color skin and that makes me better than you. This thing here over here makes me better than you. That's all they can cling on to. They've got nothing real, nothing tangible to cling on to. All they can cling on to is the fact that they share or they have a particular skin tone, and they must be proud of that. They must be proud of that. And then you ask, they say they're proud of, oh, I'm so proud of our ancestors. You say, which ones? Name them. Name the ancestors, the individuals that you're proud of. Oh, we're proud of us, so you're proud of your military. Is that what you're proud of? You're proud of the fact that you walk around with bigger guns oppressing and killing people, because that's what you're talking about. Because if you can't name individuals who's you're proud of their actions, which most white people are unable to do, then what you're saying is you're proud of the military capabilities of other people who fought in wars who weren't you. Well done.
And you call it your identity. That's not confidence. That's insecurity wrapped in a flag. Real pride comes from what you do with your life, how you treat people, what you create, what you stand for. If the only thing that you're proud of is being born white and English, then congratulations. You've achieved absolutely nothing. And somehow you've managed to make it your entire personality.
He ate. He absolutely ate. I don't know there's much more to add to that. People who make literally, like I said, their race, like Nick Fuentes, whiteness is his personality, even though he's not fully white, but it's his entire personality. The IQ test, man, it's just better if white people do it. Andrew Tate, oh yeah, white people just do it the best. Oh, white people this, white people that. It's kind of like, that's it. That's your entire personality. Your entire personality is grifting off the fact that you're white. Well done. Well done. But this is why, and I think he broke down there, this is why there should be no white pride. Okay, there's nothing, because whiteness was an invention to give you advantage. And as a result of that invention, you've achieved the advantage. So there's nothing to fight for. There's nothing to fight for. And if you want to, when it comes to white power, you have to accept that what you're fighting for is to maintain the advantage of being white. That's it. When you say white power, white pride, you're trying to fight to maintain the advantage of being white. And you have to understand that in itself makes you an oppressor. Really simple. Catch you in the next one. Peace.
If you knew what you were